All right, and we are back. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't understand what an honor it is to sit down tonight with my friend Jeff Beaubier. Jeff, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thanks for having me on.
Listen, the honor is all mine. Me and you, sir, have an absolute a lot to talk about. I just want to say congratulations on all your accomplishments for raising two fine young gentlemen that are absolutely
Appreciate
world
that.
class and legends of the sport. It's a true character of who you are as a dad too, as well. I know the path hasn't always been easy, right? But the journey's been a beautiful one, and thank you for doing that, because all the emotions and stuff I got from being a fan of your two sons along their journey too as well. So
Thank
congratulations,
you.
my friend.
Thank you.
You're very well proud dad for
I
sure,
am a
right?
proud dad, super proud dad.
I love it, man. I love it. So listen, the question that I ask all my friends, Jeff, is where did it begin with you on two wheels?
Um, Man, I think it was Christmas 1975 or 1976, somewhere in there. I got a little Honda MR50 Elsinore for Christmas, and I remember my dad he sent me to go empty the ashtray, right? And so I go into the laundry room and dump the ashtray out, and there's a motorcycle sitting there. There's a little, little Elsinore. If everybody remembers the old Elsinores, Elsinore 250s and 125s, there was a little mini version of that, a little 50cc two-stroke, 3-speed, had a clutch. It was it was unbelievable. It just started there, and it caught fire and hasn't stopped.
Absolutely hasn't stopped, right?
Yeah.
So, first getting on that 50, was your dad into motorcycles too as well, or?
Yeah, he always rode. He did some of the first motocross races in California back in the day, kind of like scramble stuff and rough scrambles. He wasn't necessarily a racer, but he just loved bikes, and his parents didn't want him really on a bike, so he would go. He kept one at his buddy's house. There's an old story about him stealing grandma's credit card and going to Sears and buying a helmet. And then he got his head run over in the race, and those kind of good stories. And so he always had a bike somehow, some way, and was always rode street bikes for years and years. Helped keep me going on a bike. I didn't get to race a lot as a little kid, but just rode. He'd take me riding. It was just kind of what we got into, and kind of just went from there. And he was like he was Cameron's biggest supporter coming through, and we were the when Cameron started road racing, he was painting the body work and patching the body work on the old RS 125s and stuff like that.
I love it. That grassroots of racing and that family bonding and journey. It's such a unique thing that happens to families, and it's a journey that only the selected few get to enjoy in this short lifetime, right? And
Hmm.
exactly what you're talking about. It's a beautiful thing. And growing up riding with your dad, which is I did the same thing with my dad, but I didn't have a bike. I grew up in the Navy. My dad was a fighter pilot. He used to take me
Hmm.
riding with his buddies.
Cool.
I wanted a bike. My mom's like, absolutely not. We moved too much, this and that. I eventually, ended up getting it. Grew up riding my friends' dirt bikes. But when I moved away and I went to MMI in Phoenix, when I come back, me and my dad really started to ride together. And it was
Cool.
one of the most incredible things that's ever happened in my life, right? It's that
Yeah.
special bond. It's hard to describe, and it only happens on those beautiful twos, So
Yeah.
it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I was
So
really. Go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say, and you actually did some when I was going through your Facebook history, man. You did some dirt bike racing too as well, or
Yeah, I did a little. I did some. Most of my racing's been like motocross, and I didn't get to start racing until I was about 14ish. I had we didn't have a ton of money. Whereas my dad and my mom, my stepmom, and 4 kids, and my dad was high voltage lineman. Good job, single income with 4 kids and making all that work. I learned to work. I watched my dad have this amazing, badass job. I ended up becoming a lineman myself. Um, and it's a tough, hard job, but man, you can make some good money doing it. And just watching him work and do all this stuff, I learned I mowed lawns, I had a paper route, and was able to purchase a little CR85, or it was CR80 back then, and I got to race once a month, and it just that's where it kind of started from there for the racing stuff, and kind of just kind of got going with that. And then I got in trouble with school, so my dad sold the bike. And then a couple of years later, I was able to get a CR 125 and got it going again. And my dad was always there, even though when he'd be pissed off at me. And like Ezra and I kind of have that same relationship where it just, you knock heads and get pissed off, and then you help them again and keep on going. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we did a lot of racing together. It was a lot of fun. And
Oh, absolutely. It's beautiful. It's funny you say that between you and Ezra, because me and my son Rossi do we butt heads quite often on
yeah,
a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, 100%, fully support him and hands, all in all the time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but it's again, I always when I want to talk about, obviously when you had Ezra and Cam, obviously passing the dirt bikes and getting them started, you wouldn't imagine where they are today. But I had that kind of, me personally, when I found out my wife was pregnant, and I kept saying, "We're having a boy, we're having a boy, we're having a
yeah.
boy." My dad's like, "No, girl, girl, girl." I'm like, "Boy, boy, boy, boy." Right. We go, finally, it's a boy. I was like, yes, let's go. Right. I was like, future MotoGP world champ, at least Moto America, maybe World Superbike. We'll see what happens. Right.
Right.
Hardly no interest at all in motorcycles. Okay. I take him to Moto America all the time. And finally we meet Yandel. He gets on his little 50 and he just starts zooming away, because I bought him a TTR 50 when my wife was pregnant, and a Strider bike, right? The balance
Yep.
bike.
Yep.
So he was already good with that, jumped on a bicycle, whatever. My point is that he's into it when he's around everybody at the racetrack, and when he comes home he's
Gotcha.
kind of fired up, and after that it just dips real hard down. And
Yeah,
I'll never
that makes
talk about it
sense.
or bring it up, you know what I'm saying, Jeff? It
Yep.
was hard on me as a dad, right? Because
Yeah.
I wanted that. I wanted him. I think every parent and every dad wants their son or daughter to have at least one of their passions, something they're really passionate about, right? Now, something
Yeah.
we can pass along to them. So,
That's funny because Ezra kind of went through the same kind of thing. Always had bikes for Ezra, and we were doing a lot of supermoto, and had a good little 65. Ezra, he had his little KTM 50s and the XR 50 and all that, and raced and did pretty okay, and had a good little KX 65 for him. And sometimes we'd be out practicing, and he'd just like, no, I don't want to ride today. And I'd be a little irritated, but whatever. And then we talk about it. He's like, Dad, I like riding. He goes, just because Cameron's a racer doesn't mean I have to be a racer. So Ezra was a soccer player for years, and pretty good. Could have worked a little harder at it, but he still was on some really good teams and played at a pretty high level. And did I was really happy with that, because I really thought he was going to blossom, come in, probably like junior or senior year of high school. And you see his size, his height, and he's athletic, really good size for soccer, not so much for motorcycles, right? Or road racing. And so I was pretty happy he was going down that path. And then all of a sudden he's like, Dad, I want to start racing again. I was like, dang it. I mean, cool, but dang it.
can you just make up your mind? Like,
Right?
what are we doing here? Yeah.
Yeah. And Ezra and I still do that. We're going from supermoto to we're going back to Moto America to where we're going motocross, and now we're going to go to two-stroke nationals, and yeah, and so we're still doing the same thing.
But it's a beautiful journey, right? And it's
Oh,
one
it
you
is. It's
couldn't live
fun. I'm
without.
enjoying
Yeah,
it because he and I
100%.
are doing stuff together, and I'm getting to ride a little bit, and just it's pretty cool.
I love it. I love it. We actually have a comment from Sean. Sean Kinney says, how you
Yeah.
doing, Jeff? Tell the bomber I said hello.
Will do, Sean, man.
Absolutely amazing. So when obviously you got Ezra and Cam. Was it in your aspirations for them to obviously get into motorcycles? But did you ever have a vision of at least one of them getting into at least some type of racing? Or
Yeah, I mean, really for Cam, the plan was to go racing, and I mean, from day one, I remember he was born, and I'm got dirt bike magazines and cycle news and all that, and just I was super young. I was like 21, 22 years old, and um, I'm excited. There's a little boy that we're going to go ride. We're going to go racing, and really the designs were to go motocrossing, and I was always a road race fan, big GP fan, and but motocross is a lot more affordable than road racing, and so I was like, we're gonna that's where we're gonna go, and it took a little turn at one point, and we wound up doing supermoto, and that kind of once Cam found pavement, it was he didn't even want to ride on knobbies for a few years.
and you're like, man, another expensive hobby to add to the list, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, race tires aren't cheap, Cam. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I love it, and then obviously, when you started on this journey, you had no idea he would be a legend that he is today, right?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Yes. So, just you being a dad, racing to absolute legends of the sport in our sport, what was for parents that are going to listen to this? What is the biggest struggle that you come across through this journey of two kids in road racing?
Gosh, just honestly, it's just the sheer cost of it. When Cameron caught really the tail end of when there was some really good money in the sport, as far as even coming up as a young rider. Uh, when he was like on, we were on Suzuki's for a while, RM65s, RM85s, and we got some amateur support like the motocross kids will get through Suzuki at the time, like a parts allowance and some really good deals on bikes. My brother was the parts manager at a large dealership, and so he really helped facilitate a lot of the stuff. And we ended up really getting some good relationships within the industry with people, and that really helped kind of keep things affordable, especially doing the supermoto stuff. And then as we got, we kind of fell into the Red Bull Rookies Cup thing. One of our one of the reps for Cameron was riding, I think, Shoei helmets at that time, and get a guy like Brett Milan that was working for Shoei mentioned to me about, hey, I heard about this Red Bull Rookies Cup thing they're going to do in MotoGP. You're going to have to go to Valencia, Spain to try out for it. But he goes, that's the kid that ought to be trying out for it. And which was completely insane to us. I was telling my wife, of course, I'm all excited about it, all geeked out. I was like, hey, let's do this. I got into contact with a guy from Red Bull and told me what to do to sign up. I think Cameron had to write a letter, and he's 13 at this point, and so we ended up getting accepted to go to the tryouts, and this was the first one that they had. So 200, they didn't have an established team at all. It was the very first year of it. So it was 2006. We fly to Valencia. My wife's boss gave us airline miles to get to Europe and back. And so we kind of had to hop, skip around. Wasn't any direct flights, but got there. Our oil sponsor at the time was Top One Oil. I met their president, and the day before we were leaving, we met for breakfast. And he's like, "Hey, I want to help you out." Gave me a check for $1,000 for a rental car and a hotel, and it just kind of worked. It just worked out because we didn't really have the money to go do this, but what an incredible opportunity! And I think there was 200 kids that were invited, and they picked 24. And he was one of the 24 that got picked for the team. And it was pretty impressive team. Some of the guys that were in that group still racing, Joan Zarco, Lucas Savadori, still a GP, is a test rider for Aprilia and racing most of the races. Handful of other guys. Louis Salam, who's passed away, but he won some GPs. Handful of other guys that pretty impressive and had some pretty impressive careers. And I think some of the guys are still doing at least some of their German and national stuff, like Reiderberger, I heard still racing, and a couple of the other guys. And these guys are all, 30, 32 now, or some of them even older. Obviously, JD Beach was on that team, and he's had a really, really good, solid career, still going. He may never stop racing, but
Oh, G
but
dog,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
just such an amazing thing to just be involved with and to somehow do it. My wife thought we were absolutely crazy for going and doing it, and but it worked out. So back to the point where this all started was like that really, like, we just caught the tail end of, there was some decent money to help out the youth. It's tougher on the guys now than it was then. Because then everything dried up at 2008, 2009. Cameron got to race, spent 3 years in Europe, raced the full MotoGP series in the 125, which Moto 3 now. So did that on the factory KTM team, and really awesome experience, but it was really tough. He was over there by himself. We weren't able to travel with him. So that was tough. Wish we could. That's one of the only regrets I have, is not being able to afford to help him more at that point in time. Just for even my wife or I just to be there with him. But we couldn't. We just flat couldn't afford to do it.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine how hard that is to be as a parent, to, let your child be over there all by himself, living his dream at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not, I never understood my mom when, I'm in high school. I got my motorcycle, I'm out riding at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she's still up. And I'm like, what are you doing up, Mom? She's like, I'm just worried about you until you come home. Now I know you're home and you're safe. I can go to bed. And I
Yeah.
never understood that until I had a kid. Right. So yeah, I get it, man. That's one of those, moments, just like, again, when Cam and Ezra were little, you racing the whole thing, but it come to a point in time to where, you didn't have hardly any input on Cam's journey no more, because it was out of your hands and out of your control, right? And I'm sure that was was that difficult for you too as well?
Oh yeah, it was hard. I remember. So we did the Red Bull, the Rookies Cup season in 2007. He was invited to come back to do the MotoGP, the Red Bull MotoGP Academy, in 2008. There was, I think it was 3 or 4 rider team. Jonas Folger, Cameron, Danny Kent, who won a world title also. I think there was one other rider. I know Zarco was in and out. Then he decided to go do his own thing. And anyways, I remember we're there in Barcelona, and we dropped Cameron off out in front of this school on the sidewalk, and people from the academy, we had met these people, but we were dropping them off and leaving. And, we stayed a couple days and, kind of did some touristy stuff. Went to FC Barcelona football game, which was bucket list for me. And we went and watched the guys ride there. We got to go to their training facility. It was kind of like it was a high school type academy for the Spanish, like up and coming, high end Olympic hopeful athletes, right? So they had tennis and basketball, and soccer's so big there. I don't think that there's all the soccer club stuff around it, so I don't think they were doing soccer there. But it was tennis, like I said, and it was, so they would train there, school there, and then they would go do some of their bike stuff and do their training on the bikes, either at go-kart tracks or at Montmeló, which is the Barcelona racetrack, and then they had a dirt track, like a motocross, like a safe motocross style track, and we got to go out there and watch them ride the dirt bikes. And a handful of the guys that were in the 125 class already in the GPs, Danny Pedrosa was out there, and Alberto Pugh was running the program, so he was there, and along with some of his guys that could really ride too. And so we got to go out there and watch the guys ride dirt bikes, and that was pretty cool. And then my wife and I flew home to California and left them over there. And yeah, it was. So he would bounce in and out, come home for a few weeks, and then go back over. And they were racing the Spanish National the CV at the time, which has kind of been evolved in the European Championships now. But it was pretty cool. Got to go to a couple of the races. I'd fly over there. Went to Barcelona and Jerez and Valencia, and it was good to see him ride. It was a struggle. That place, or that class, the 125 class back then. I'm sure it's probably similar with their Moto 3 now. Man, it was just stacked. They only would take only 40 riders could qualify, but they were averaging probably 75 to 85 riders trying to qualify for that 40 rider field. And you would get, guys from that are doing the GPs just kind of staying on a bike, or their teams are testing. And so it was quite a bit different than coming up here.
Oh, 110%, and yeah, again, it's that. And I'm sure every time Cam come home, you're like, man, you gotten so much bigger and you look more like a man than you did when we dropped you off. It's time is such a thief, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
It really is. And I never understood that too, until next thing I know, I blink and my son's walking and he's running, and now he's getting ready to turn 13. It's like,
wow.
What happened?
Yeah. Goes fast.
Right. What's going on?
Yeah.
We have Chris Tulloch says #1 race dad in the country right there.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Yeah, Chris is absolutely amazing too. Yeah, and then from there, of course, Cam come home and man, just yeah, there for a while, 5 championships, then decided to go to Moto 2. When he decided to go to Moto 2, was that something you guys kind of decided together,
or? Not really. I think he talked more with Zemke about that. Obviously, we talked about it and said, hey, I think I want to do this. And I was kind of like, why not go do it? You've done a lot here. He was getting he was kind of starting to get a little bored. That 2020 year, he just demolished everybody, and he was kind of the only one to beat himself that year. He had a rough go at, I think it was Indianapolis. He ended up sewing the championship up there, but he sure made it difficult on himself that weekend. But other than that, man, he had just a spectacular season. Really didn't do many things wrong. He came in super fit to prove a point, and I think he did, and had the opportunity to do the Moto 2 thing, and it was really exciting, really hard, tough. I think he was 28 going into that, and that's tough to step back into that world and have to relearn and learn a lot of tracks, and that's tough with the minimal time that they get on the track. But it was what an amazing opportunity. I mean, to go get, it's kind of what everybody dreams of being able to get into that MotoGP paddock. No, he didn't get to be on a MotoGP bike. That was the goal, to try to get on one. And, it didn't happen, but he got to race in the GP paddock, at 2 different ends of his career. And it was pretty cool. And I'm really proud of him. And I think that's where we were having dinner last night, and we were kind of talking about some of that. We were talking about the Malaysia GP weekend and just some of the stuff there, and how he was talking about how much he liked that track and that he had some good success there. He only raced there once. They didn't go there the COVID year. Yeah. He had a pretty solid top 10. I think he was 6th, and had to come one of his races where he had to come through the pack. And so he showed pretty well on the tracks that he wasn't at a deficit at. He rode well at Coda, rode well at Portimao, rode well at Malaysia, and a couple of others where the tracks were everybody's home track type of thing. And so I think if he stayed over there 2 more years, I think it would have been a little bit better for him. but he wanted to come home, and his wife was pregnant, so it was time to come home.
I don't listen. Uh, Me being a fan, dude, he did us Americans proud. You know,
Yeah,
there's we don't hardly have any Americans over there at all. Period.
yeah,
Right.
just Joe and the GPs right now.
That's it, right? And Rossi over there doing the not the CEV, but the MIV maybe is what it's called, something like that. But
Okay,
still, it's two out of how many,
yeah,
right? I
yeah.
think he did amazing. Obviously, I cheered him on the whole time. But me and you had talked about this earlier, dude. What a beautiful journey. What a story, dude. It couldn't have been written in Hollywood any better, Jeff. He comes back, Tyler Cycles, 2025. I mean, Moto America champion again. Like it's you couldn't have written a better script. I don't care, right? It's
Yeah,
such a
that
beautiful
was
journey. And that last weekend, all down to the wire, it was drama, it was excitement, it was everything you and the fans and everybody wanted to see during that race weekend, right? And then I kind of got the impression, Jeff, just being a fan, being there, feeling the energy that, Cam was just like, you know what? I'm going into this. I still have a shot, but I'm gonna let the chips fall where they may, and I'm
well.
just gonna give it my all. Right?
Well, that's what. Yeah, you're right. He did. He came in to give it his very best, and he had such a bad Friday, and I was like, wow, this is not the way this is supposed to go. Yeah, it's supposed to not be this tough. And but he brought his lunch pail and went to work, and
Yes,
that's
he did.
kind of just what he did. He just went to work.
I was
Somehow
screaming
he
so
stayed on the
loud.
bike on Saturday morning's race because he was fighting that thing because I mean really had no good setup time because he crashed the bike too many times on Friday and put himself in a hole. And he really fought that bike, and it was good to get on the podium in that race and just to be able to get a sigh of relief, right? And then see what happens the rest of the weekend. It, Man, that was wild. That was pretty wild.
I was I one of my favorite spots at Jersey is between 4 and 5. As soon as you come over the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
right there, because you see him come out of 4, and then you see the different lines that go into 5, and where they pick it up and get on the gas and go around the corner. And yeah, he seemed not at one with the motorcycle. He wasn't dancing with it properly, right? It was fighting it.
Yeah.
Where obviously Heron and Bobby Fong looked well, they had their own battles and struggles too that weekend. But at the end of the weekend, man, when he won, I mean, I was just screaming so loud. My throat, I had to take a throat lodging, right? Because my throat was getting horsey. And it was, man, the emotions of, and that's the first thing I said to the first person. I forgot who was standing next to me. I said, what a story. What a journey. Do you realize what just happened? And they're looking at me like, no, what? And I just, same thing I just said, dude, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, oh shit, that's exactly what happened. I was like, let's go. Right. Again,
Oh, that's funny.
proud dad, man. Congratulations. It's yeah, man. I can't wait to see what 2026 has in store for the whole Beaubier family, because I know it's going to be another proper mega season for sure.
Well, I hope so. See what happens.
Absolutely. And right now, behind you, you got a YZ250 sitting behind you right now.
Yeah, this is a bike. Ezra picked this up a week or so ago. I was just going through it. It's actually a pretty good, solid bike. I just put a new top end in it, just to make sure everything's good. Everything looked good, but it's got a fresh top end, and I'm changing fork springs and shock springs to stiffen it up for him. And so it's going to be a good little solid bike for him for a little bit. And he's got a YZ 450. We got to rebuild it. It let go on him about a month ago, so he's going to ride two strokes for a bit, and I've got a couple two strokes over here myself, so I'm going to do a little bit of two stroke racing and then get his 450 going again. Um, he's been racing some like local pro motocross, and then he's got himself. I don't know if it's 100% sure, but it looks like he's got a deal set up to race a 4-race pro supermoto series out here in California. So I think he's got something set up for that, and that'll be fun.
Oh, for sure. I've had the honor, obviously, to meet your other son, Ezra, multiple times. He's a absolutely amazing human being. He puts off one of the best energies I've ever felt in the paddock.
That's
It's
cool.
just incredible. It really
Yeah.
is. It's like
Yeah,
he's just got
that's
this.
cool that you say that because I think Ezra's always been kind of one of the favorites, especially of the guys. He's been kind of the little brother in the paddock when he's been in and out of the paddock. You know, hasn't really stuck there, but he's been in and out, and all the guys really like him. I remember when he won his race at Atlanta, his first race, and I remember we're up there at the podium and we're right across from the Yamaha, the Attack Yamaha truck, and Gagne comes out and he's yelling at me. He's like, "Hey Jeff, F yeah!" And you know, it was pretty cool.
I love it, man. I love it. And
Yeah.
we got my buddy Daniel Shoemaker. He says, "Who's the fastest at the RC track?"
Oh man, the RC track is it's probably Cam. Cam's always the fastest.
Dude, you go out there and practice when nobody's home? Just be like, you know what? I'm gonna
You
beat
know
him. I'm gonna
what?
beat him.
I started. I didn't drive mine for quite a while, and I just got it going again. Cam messes with his quite a bit, and then I just kind of I built a little little mini Strider pump track for Brody in the backyard, and I think I'm just going to convert that to RC track.
I love it. He's coming for you, Cam. Be prepared,
Yeah.
right? I love it, man. Yeah. Again, the whole journey you've had, again, going back to the grassroots of racing, Jeff, it's what a story, bro. Congratulations again. I'm so proud of you and your two young boys. Without you and your dad, before you getting you into bikes, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. I wouldn't have this number one Cam Beaubier front fairing right here in the corner of my room.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the millions of fans around the world wouldn't have the honor to watch your boy just absolutely mop up the field. So yeah, man, that's absolutely amazing, man. Amazing. So, you wrenching on motorcycles. I went to motorcycle mechanic, obviously me growing
Okay.
up.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up around my friends at bases that had dirt bikes, I remember the dad's like, you got to clean the carb. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. That's why I learned, how to pull a carb off a two-stroke, do this, do that. Where did you learn how to do all that? Obviously your dad, maybe
Similar to
too.
what you're saying, my dad
Yeah.
always wrenched on stuff. He always worked on all of his vehicles. He maintained his vehicles. Always worked on his bikes. He'd wrench on, you know, the my stepmom's, my mom's friends that were single or divorced and needing help brakes on their car. He'd do that for them. Helped out a couple of the ladies from the church, and it was just watching him work on stuff and rebuild motors. He always had a car that he was working on. I had a '57 Chevy for years. He had a couple others that he was always just working on. He ended up building towards the end of his life, he built this a Morris Minor pickup. You know what that is? So you know what a Mini Cooper is? So this is a truck version from like the 1960s of a Mini Cooper, and so it's British and all that. And so he wound up pulling a Datsun 210 or 510 motor out of this old Datsun. He chopped it up, somehow figured out how to build this thing, put this motor in it, and it was a fun little truck. He drove. It was his little toy, and he drove that all over the place. And I think my youngest brother still has it down in San Diego. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I was always just watching him, and so I always worked on stuff. I worked on all of my own stuff. That MR50 I was talking about, I used to, like, on summer vacation, I'd pull it out of the shed. We didn't even have a garage. We just had this shed, and I'd pull it out, go on the front porch, and I'd just strip the thing apart. I'd pull the top end off it, pull the carb, just look at how do things work, and I'd put it all back together, and it would run. And I'd tell my dad, "Hey, I did this." He's like, "You're not supposed to do that." But how did it look? And I was like, "Oh, it looked good." I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's like, yeah.
I love it, man. Again, it's that whole, man, having that special bond between, that dad and son, again, I can't stress enough sharing the same passion. It's so
Yeah,
unique in this lifetime, right? And you had mentioned about Barcelona soccer. So, Jeff, when I tell people that I'm a real football fan, they look
yeah.
at me, they said, well, who's your football team? I'm like, Inter Miami. And they look at me, they're like, but that's not a football team. I was like, no, that's the real
That's a football
football.
team.
Yeah, you guys play handball. It's
Yeah,
soccer is the real football, right?
yeah,
Going, I always wanted to go to overseas soccer game. I'm sure it's absolutely just mental, right? Just like when
yeah,
I went to BSB in 23,
yeah,
freaking amazing and mental, right? Just different.
yeah.
I couldn't imagine the vibes, the beer drinking, the cussing, the hooping, and the
It
hollering, and the
was, yeah,
energy.
it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. We got to go to a couple World Cup games way back, yeah, almost 30 years ago here in California. Went to Fourth of July, U.S. men versus Brazil on the Fourth of July. Really good dramatic game. Brazil won. They ended up winning the cup that year, and then the next year. We went to the women's, it was 4th of July again. We went to the Women's World Cup, USA versus Brazil, and USA won in a really tough match. And I think the US women won it that year also. Pretty cool stuff.
Uh,
I mean, the
my friend,
atmosphere is just like nothing I've ever been to.
I could only imagine, right? I haven't been to a professional. I want to go to Inter Miami. I want to go down there and go to a soccer game. It's
Have
the
to get there
energy,
before Messi leaves.
facts, right? This is the goal, but the point I'm getting at, like you said, that the energy, and then my friends say, dude, it's such a wussy game. Like they fall down and they cry and they do all this and they do all that. I'm like, dude, soccer's man, it's a technical game. It's a
Well, and
strategy game.
I think they don't realize how hard those guys are actually hitting each other. Those are
It's
big dudes going fast. They're as
with
fast
no
as our
padding.
football,
Yeah.
our NFL guys. They're that fast, and they don't look as big because they don't have pads on. Obviously, your linebackers, and when they're putting muscle on to be bigger, but you still have like, okay, look at Ezra. Ezra's 6'3", like 185 and race trim, soccer trim. He'd probably be 195, but he could be 245 if he was working out for football. That's how big those guys are, and then when you got four something speed. And they're still hitting each other pretty hard out there. It just does I get it. It does look, basketball's getting the same way where they're flopping on the ground and rolling around and like a
I
fish
said the
out of
same
water.
thing.
But
Yeah, dude. I said the same thing. And so, did you have an American soccer team you follow?
you know what? I'm not following soccer too much right now. We've got our local like second division team, Sacramento Republic. I pay attention to what they're doing, but I'm not religious about it.
Yeah.
And
I get made fun of, like I said, but I don't care because it's a cool
yeah.
game and I love
No,
playing
I
it.
love it. I
Yeah.
played my whole life. I coached for 20 years and coached Cam's teams, my brother's teams, Ezra's teams, um, and played a lot myself. And
Me too. That was a sport I mostly played. They're like, you want to play baseball, basketball, blah, blah. I'm like, nope, I want to play soccer.
yeah,
I straight up, I want to play soccer. That's what I want to
yeah.
play. We got dude dripping wet, Chris Brazil. What is up, my
So look
man?
at
It says
Chris.
Mr. B.
What's up, Chris? That's a good
Uh,
dude.
yeah, Chris is absolutely amazing. I always enjoy seeing all my friends when I come to the track. It's always an honor. It's the only time I get to see you guys, right? Unless we're doing this. Yeah. So, do you go to all the races in Moto America, or is there just a select few
I
you go
don't go
to?
to all, but I try to go to as many as I can. I didn't go to Ohio this year, and that might have been the only one I missed. I think that's the only one I missed. Like you were mentioning, some of the couple of the tracks you hadn't been to. The only track I've been to Ohio back
Years
in
ago. Yeah.
several years, 10 years ago. The only track I haven't been to, and now it's gone, is Pittsburgh.
Yeah. That's sad.
But that's a bummer. And I always wanted to get out there to that one. But yeah, didn't work out. And let's see. this next year, my wife and I have been talking about what are we going to do? And I just retired this year, so life's a little easier to travel.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, man. I had a really good career, and yeah, 34 years doing high voltage line work, and yeah, still alive.
I love it, man. I love it. Again, a new beginning, right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely man, amazing. Have you yourself been on a racetrack before? Leathers done any track days
Yeah,
or
I did a little bit of club racing back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s with the AFM. And then did a little bit there. I wasn't very good at it, but had fun doing it. And as again, my dad was still around, and so we were doing that together. He was my mechanic, and we had fun. We had fun doing it. It was a good blast. But I was it was still during my apprenticeship, and I really needed to get through that apprenticeship. And really, you start over focusing on the wrong thing, even though it's fun. So I needed to make sure I got through the apprenticeship, and then about that time, Cameron had started riding and was starting to do a little bit of motocross racing, and 4 or 5 years old, and it was a lot easier to go back to motocross, and you know Cameron and I could race every weekend of the month for what it costs to do just a club race, once a month.
this is a fact. The sport has changed, the times have changed. It's more difficult for families to make it into Moto America, just because of the cost of everything. But yeah, I mean, again, I always call it our beautiful circus, right? Because
Yeah,
that's
it
exactly
is.
what it
It
is.
is.
And it's the only circus in town where the clowns gotta pay to play, right? Let's just be honest, right? Now I'm one of those.
And
So yeah,
it's tough because that's a tough one for the families. I know we had to do some of that. When Cameron came back from Europe, when he was dropped from the KTM Red Bull program, and they did it in a very classy way. I remember Thomas Uberall from Red Bull, who was the head guy of Red Bull Europe. We were at Valencia GP last race of this season, and he pulled me aside, said, "Hey, come have lunch with me." So we sat down, had lunch, and he told me they weren't bringing Cameron back, and it was a very classy thing to do for someone at that level of just some dad you know, of a 125 GP guy, and it was very classy. Obviously, very disappointing. Um, so we came back and we had to start from zero because we hadn't been here. Nobody knew who Cameron was, and so we started. Oh, what we do? I had my favorite bike I've ever had. Ducati Sport Classic, the 1000S, the red one. Just beautiful, classic looking bike with a modern motor and chassis, and it was just beautiful. It was my favorite bike I've ever had. And so I sold that so I could buy an R6 for Cameron, and did that. And we hadn't been on a bike. He hadn't been on a 600 yet. So this was right before I did that sale and purchase. I was talking with Mike Pasquarella. If you remember Joey Pasquarella, won Daytona 200, had some good super sport wins back in the day. I was talking with his dad, and he said, "Hey, we're doing a track day at Sonoma." It was Infineon at that point. It's always Sears Point to me, but
me too.
anyways, he goes, "We're doing a track day. Come out and have Cam do a couple sessions on the bike, just see." And there was a good handful of fast guys there. Anyways, Cameron struggled on the bike. It was a busy track day, and it was just like it was nothing like a 125 GP bike, right? Riding a 600, and I don't think he'd ever ridden a 600. He might have gotten one on a Freddie Spencer school way back in the day at Utah, but other than that, it was really first time riding a 600, and he didn't ride it real good. He wasn't horrible on it, but didn't ride it real good. And then week or two later, I picked up that 600. We got it going, got some suspension for it, and one of the guy I had mentioned earlier, my brother was working at one of the local dealerships, and one of the Yamaha reps who was on not on the sales side, but on the tech side. And he was a mechanic, came up as a mechanic, and moved into Yamaha and was the regional tech manager, however that works. I don't remember the exact title. Anyways, so he was the guy when your techs at the shop couldn't figure something out, they call him, he works them through it on the phone, or ends up coming into the shop and helps them through whatever massive problem they're having, or that kind of thing. And did you ever work at a dealership? You said you went to the, so you're familiar with that process of what I'm talking about. Yeah. So anyways, my brother got me in touch with him, and we met at Laguna. He was working for Yamaha in the vendor area. So he wasn't really around the races. We were doing, so this was 2010. I have to back up a bit. So I bought him the bike. He got on the bike, got a call from the guy he wasn't our manager at the time, but he was trying to work into being Cameron's manager, and he was working with Kevin Schwantz at the time. And I can't remember the guy's name. He had worked with the Haydens in the past. Way back when. And so we were talking with him. JD Beach was on riding for the Rockwell Yamaha team, and they ended up putting together Cameron and JD to race the East Coast Super Sport Series for AMA. There was like 3 or 4 years they had the Super Sport class divided into East-West. So they were going to go race the East Coast Series. So they go to Daytona. I get a call from Kevin Schwantz. He's like, "Hey, don't freak out. But we need 45 grand to make this happen." And I'm like, "Well,
what do you mean don't freak out? What are you talking about?"
And so we're like, "Oh man, what are we going to do?" He's like, "Hey, it's going to work out. We'll figure something out." And Cameron had been dropped from, the Red Bull program over in Europe, but he's still, Red Bull USA was still working with him and helping him out. So they put in some money, and then Top One Oil, who I had mentioned before, they stepped up and put in some money for and JD was on the same program with Red Bull as Cam. So anyways, they kind of got that paid for. Really good team, really good people. I wasn't able to go to the races on the East Coast. Back to the bike that I bought, we put it together. Rockwell sent me a couple parts, and so we had a race bike here in California, and it was bone stock with suspension and an ECU. And we go to Sonoma. 2 days before the race at Sonoma and Finian at the time, Sears Point, Will Morton, who he works on the attack team now, he calls me up. He's like, "Hey," and he had done a couple track days with us, helping me get up to speed with the 600 and all that. And he had helped us previously in years past on the 2-stroke 125 GP bikes when we were doing that here at home. He goes, "Hey, let me put a head gasket in the thing just so you got something." And so he did that, got the bike back from him. I think he did the cartridge kit, the Olin's cartridge kit on the forks also for me. And then we go to Sonoma, and Elena Myers won race 1. Cameron had like a 12-second lead, red flag, restart, Elena whole shot, 1 lap, 2nd lap, red flag again. They called the race. Elena won the race. It was really happy for Elena. Really disappointed. That was a tough one. And then second day race on Sunday, Cameron got out in front, kind of did the same thing, pulled away, red flag again. And we were like, "Hey, you better get the whole shot this time." and he did, and it worked out, and so that was a bit better. But you know, it was pretty cool for Elena to win her home race too, and then um, yeah, we did a Laguna Seca on that same bike too, and I think he crashed in the corkscrew. Um, but first race with Rockwall at Daytona, so it's his very first 600 race. They did the CCS race at to test the weekend before, so he got some time on it. So he actually did do a couple race starts on it. But he was out there in Florida for that whole week. Came out and won his very first AMA National. It was a photo finish with him, Pasquarella, and Gagne. And I mean, like, you know, what a classic 0.0012 type thing. And so that was pretty cool for him to go out and win his very first national ever. And so
And the story, and the story was written, right?
Yeah,
Like
it got started.
yeah, it's listen, Jeff, absolutely amazing journey, man. Again, proud dad. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the young men you have raised to be who they are today. And congratulations again on the retirement, my friend. Absolutely amazing journey.
Thanks.
You are very welcome, man. So listen, we're 51 minutes into this
Oh
already.
wow, that went fast.
I told you it was gonna go fast, but I want to transition into where we get to know, you know, what's next for Jeff. Like what do you got coming up? What's your future plans with Bodie and all that good stuff in between?
That's a good question. I kind of keep it. Things kind of got derailed for me a little bit, but the goal is I want to work on bikes. I want to help some young riders coming up. We've got a little TT track in the back. It's mostly like friends and family that come through, and do have one really good family that they're club racers, and now they've got their little kids, and they've kind of transitioned from the road racing into the off-road stuff, and their kids are coming up, and I could see myself kind of working with them, and then just kind of I'm still helping Ez. I'm probably always going to help Ez, and it's just that's just how it goes, and I enjoy it, and he's such a good dude. He's really growing up, and I'm really happy to see him growing up the way he is, and it's about time, but it is what it is, right? And
Yeah,
but we're having a good time. We're having a real good time together doing it, and so kind of a little bit more dirt bike stuff. So if some road racing stuff pops back up, we'll probably be back into that. But this is kind of what we're doing now. I want to wrench on bikes, work on some bikes. I'm kind of getting back into the two-stroke thing right now, which is fun. Going to rebuild Ezra's 450 and just kind of start out slow doing that kind of stuff. And if things trickle in, they trickle in. But just kind of stay busy and just really enjoying it and get out and ride. I still ride a lot, ride adventure bikes and dual sport bikes, and I try to ride motocross, but it's not as easy as it used to be. And
hey, we don't fall the same. When we hit, we just splat. We don't roll.
Yeah,
we don't do
right.
nothing, right? Yeah. And then it takes us, months. So my son was 5 or 6 at the time we bought him this trampoline. Of course, they delivered it late. It's Christmas Eve. It's 2:00 in the morning. It's me and my buddy. It's snowing. It's already like 6 inches out there. It's freezing cold.
Oh, man.
We're putting this trampoline together, right? So wake up, Christmas. Of course, he wants to go out there and jump. I'm like, you go ahead. I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
Fast forward to spring. It's warm. I was like, you know what? I'm going to show you the backflip. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Jeff, I'm out there just having a ball. I wake up the next day and I felt like I got beat up by Mike Tyson. I was like,
move.
Oh my God, are you kidding me right now? Yeah, it's totally not the same, right? What's your best hire car story? Do you have one?
Best what kind of story?
Rental car story.
No, it wasn't me that did anything, but I remember
it's always that. It's not me.
We're at my sister's wedding, and so this is even before Cameron was racing. He was probably racing mini bikes or something like that. But We're at my sister's wedding in Orlando, Florida. It's Daytona Bike Week too. So she was nice enough to schedule her wedding on Daytona week so we could at least go out to the races, right? Or at least get to the track at some point. And but I remember I'm sitting in the hotel room and I hear this noise. There's this big empty parking lot out behind the hotel, and I hear something out there. And I open the window, and it's my brother in a rental car doing Brody's, stripped in his rental car out there in the parking lot.
Yes, let's go. Right. I love it, man. I love it. He's like, yeah, funny, not funny.
Yeah.
I love it. We have another legend in the house, Brian Stokes, bro.
Oh,
What
look
is
at that
up,
dude. That's a good guy.
He says, Jeff, what an awesome guy. Yeah, Brian's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Brian's pretty impressive guy.
He's an absolute, another one of those legends of the sport that I'm an honor to be friends with. I had him on the podcast, man, and what a great journey, he had to.
He's got a good story.
I met him, was it this year, Brian? Me and you met at Road Atlanta, or was it last year? I can't remember, but I remember I was at Attack Yamaha talking with my good buddy Dustin Cornier, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know you know Dustin.
Yep, I know Dustin well.
Yeah, Brian taps me on the shoulder. He's like, Simcoe. Yeah, dude, absolutely amazing. And I told Dustin, I was like, dude, I'm having Jeff on tonight. He's like, dude, congratulations. He's a good dude. I've known him for like 15 plus years. I was like,
oh yeah. Dustin was one of the first guys that ever let Cameron on a road racetrack.
Love it, man. Yeah. I love it. Again, it's that beautiful journey, and it takes a village to raise a racer, right? And it all starts from somewhere.
Yeah.
One question I do want to is tell us something we don't know about you at all, Jeff.
Shoot, I don't know. Don't really hide anything. Just kind of a regular guy that likes motorcycles and got to, it didn't, how do I say it right? I always wanted to be a racer. I'm not real good on a bike, but I love riding, and I got to be a racer, just, doing amateur stuff and just being around racing. It's my favorite thing to do. I mean, you can see my garage. I got bikes over here and there, and everything in my world kind of revolves around it. And it's just, man, I've been blessed to get into the situation I'm in, even just as a dad, and I get to meet some of my heroes. Man, what is kind of not answering your question, but it was at Laguna this year. They were doing the ride for Rainey, where Rainey went out and rode on the track. Paul Carruthers' dad went out and rode, and he's 80 something. I think Eddie Lawson, Ben Spees, Freddie Spencer, I might have already said that, and then Rick Johnson was there. And so there's a couple of these guys I haven't met before. I just walked over to them and said, hey, I'm Jeff. Jeff Beaubier. I'm Karen Beaubier's dad, and blah, blah, blah. And then one of the guys was Rick Johnson, and talked to him real briefly, and no big deal. So they go do their thing, Superbike races next. And so I'm sitting in the Titler's hot pit on the wall. They take off of the race. Rick Johnson was standing out at the wall for the start. He walks over, sits down next to me in the hot pit, and we just BS for about 10 minutes. And I'm just like, this is one of my heroes from way back when. And I just like, wow, he was such a cool dude. And it was just like, it's just one of those things, when you kind of get that little buzz high from meeting somebody that, one of your heroes and type of thing. And, I was telling my brother about it because we were all camping up on the hill. We have a big group that goes to Laguna, and we have basically a family reunion every year up there. And so anyways, I'm telling my brother about it. Cameron had a rough day, crashed out of the lead, picked the bike up and finished, which was good. It probably, that's the race that saved the season. Even though it was a miserable day for him. But I was just like, I was, bummed for Cam, but I'm like, but Josh, that's my brother. I was like, I got to meet Rick Johnson, and that was just pretty cool.
Yeah. It's always,
fun. It's fun to still be a kid sometimes.
Listen, when Toys R Us was still around, even though I'm an adult, I'd still go in there once a week just to walk around
Yeah,
because I don't want to grow up. I'm a
that's
Toys
funny.
R Us kid, right? Let's go. I mean, it's you know what, Jeff. Though I think the love and passion we have for two wheels keep it. We're young right here in our mind, right?
Hmm.
And we think young, and we be young, and we ride. We don't feel. I don't want to say old. I call it getting younger, and the reason why I say that is when we're born, we have no teeth. We wear diapers. When we get old, we have no hair. We have no teeth, and we're back in diapers, right? So we get
Right,
young
right.
again.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that love and passion. I believe that if everybody had a passion like we did for motorcycles, the world would be a happier place, and we would live longer because we'd be happier, right? Um, that's just what I believe. Let me ask you this: Are you a coffee drinker or a tea drinker?
Coffee.
Cold or hot? Cream, sugar, or just
Hot
plain?
coffee, black.
I like it black too. It's good. Um, I'm big into audiobooks. I listen to a ton of audiobooks. Is that something you do too as well, or do you like to read? Or
I don't. I used to be a really big reader. Don't. It's just like we've got our phones and everything now, and you're just always reading stuff. But I used to be a big reader. Read books all the time. I was a young kid growing up, and even as an adult, I would go in and out of reading a lot. But never really got into the audio stuff.
dude, I'm a big audio, especially I drive to a lot of the Moto America races on the East Coast. I'll
Okay.
throw in an audio book and just our podcast. Did you listen to any podcast?
I'm not religious about it. The few that I do, I mean, I'm pretty hit and miss. During the Supercross season, I'll watch some of the motocross stuff. I listen to Coiner's stuff every now and then when if I'm in the garage, and especially I like listen to Richard when he's got Richard on. That's always fun. Got a lot of respect for that guy, and it's always fun to hear his take on
Yeah.
things. He's very cerebral. It's really cool to hear his take on things and the way his viewpoint on it. And he's not wrong. He's got some tough takes, but he's not wrong.
I love listening to as well, and I've become to obviously know Richard, and I walked up to him in Jersey. I was like, man, I just gotta say, Richard, I'm sorry you got to deal with dust. And he said, dude, tell me about it. We both started laughing. Yes. Oh my
Oh,
god,
that's
it's
awesome.
absolutely awesome. A spicy food. Are you a spicy food guy?
I'm not. I can't. I went through throat cancer a year and a half ago, and I can't eat anything that's even like remotely even like ground pepper. And so it's kind of, that kind of that's a bummer because I wasn't like a super spicy guy, but I like spicy. I like Cajun style food and all that. But I can't do any of that anymore. It has to be just very plain. So I've kind of relearn how to eat,
Yeah. Well,
but it's working.
congratulations
Figured it out.
on
Figured
beating
it
it.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's congratulations on beating that, man. I
Yeah,
couldn't,
thank you. It was a rough
yeah,
go.
dude. Absolutely. Favorite comedian?
Gosh, I don't know. Don't I really don't have one.
No?
No.
One of my
Can't,
favorites, all time favorites, George Carlin.
yeah, I remember listening to him as a kid. Just never really got into like. I mean, I listened to some stuff, but never just really got into comedy.
Are you are you a Star Wars kid?
I liked Star Wars as a kid. I'm not a Star Wars geek or anything, but I did like Star Wars. Yeah,
Boo! I'm a Star Wars nerd. I'm still lightsaber. Let's go! Right, I go to the movies with my
yeah,
son. Yeah, it's
uh,
fun. It's that childhood thing. I guess
yeah,
we
yeah.
held on to it. It's awesome. What's the one superpower, Jeff, you wish you had?
Man, I always, yeah, it's like fly like Superman.
Right, dude. So I thought about this long and hard when I started asking my friends this question. For me, I look at everything. I think the best thing just for me is teleportation. Cause I'd be like, Jeff, look, we're going to do this podcast, but I'm going to be at your house literally in like 2 seconds. We're going to do it live in your garage. Boom. And I'm there. Right. And I'd be like, all right, it's cool. We're going to have a
That's a
beer
good
and I'm
one.
going home.
Yeah.
Right. Boom. All right, hey, I'm going to go watch a MotoGP at Magello. Boom. There I am. And
Yeah.
then I could come home every night and sleep in my own bed. And
No,
all
I
that
could
good
do that
stuff.
as Superman too, though.
True. Facts, right? Facts. So, obviously you got a lot more time on your hands coming up again. Congratulations on the retirement. So are you binge watching anything on Netflix or any good TV series or anything, you and your wife, or?
We haven't. There's some stuff, we kind of got into like the Landman, Billy the Kid, some of that stuff on Peacock and Prime. I don't do a lot of Netflix. I think my wife does. I watch a lot of sports. So I watch sports. I got the football game on right there. Not watching it, but I got it on. So I love watching football. I go back and forth with basketball. I'll watch. We were talking about soccer earlier. I'll watch the big European championships and the South American championships. That kind of stuff, the UEFA Cup and stuff like that. Some more of the national team type stuff.
Who's your football team? NFL.
What's that?
Who's your
it's
NFL
a Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys. Don't know why. I just been a Dallas Cowboys fan but that's the only thing I ever remember.
I'm a Raider fan. And when I say that, people look at me, they're like, "What? Really?" I'm like, "Dude, Bo Jackson, that was my dude back in the day."
That was a bad dude.
Dude, yeah, baseball. I mean, come on, man. Bo knows, right? Let's go.
Right. I remember him breaking that bat over his leg. And,
dude, bro, I'm telling you, people, they have Tecmo Bolt. They have no idea. Jeff, they have no idea, man. They really don't.
No.
Brian Stokes says, what's your favorite college football team? You better say Georgia Bulldogs.
It's not Georgia, but I've been really digging them over the last 10 years. One of my really good friends here, he's from Georgia, and he's a Bulldogs fan, and I've liked what they've been doing. Honestly, UCLA, that's my college team. Makes no sense either, but I was born in SoCal, but yeah.
We like who we
UCLA.
like, right? Yeah, it's for me, I think it was not so much just the Raider, it was just Bo Jackson. Just like me, it's not really Chicago Bulls, it was Michael Jordan, right? Let's just be honest. It was those but I still like other teams. I don't really watch ball sports, but soccer every once. I'm just so wrapped up in motorcycle racing. I mean, I work a full-time job. The podcast is full-time. Then I got MotoGP, World Superbike, Moto America, BSB, Isle of Man, the Northwest. Like I'm constantly watching
all they do it, yeah.
All of it, right? So is that something you do too as well? Do you watch any other like MotoGP? Or?
Really into the MotoGP. Try to watch the World Superbike stuff. We got to know Garrett Gerloff really well when he was still here, and so we'll follow what he's doing and really watch that. Obviously, like I said, MotoGP. Don't really watch much else. I mean, I watch all the classes in both of those. All the Super Sport and the 300 Super Sport, and then obviously Moto 3 and Moto 2, and man, the Moto 2 championship's coming down to it.
Bro, listen, it's been an amazing season in Moto 2. I can't say so much of MotoGP because it's been kind of the same swan song, right? Marquez shows up on a factory Ducati and kind of mops the floor up. That's basically kind of a given. Everybody, people that said that he wasn't going to do it, I was like, oh, okay, you get ready to find out.
No,
we found out, right?
That is one of the most incredible racers we've seen.
Listen, I'm a huge Valentino Rossi fan. Okay. So I named my son Hayden Rossi after Nicky Hayden and Valentino, but I found myself once Rossi retired that I wasn't like this massive fan of, I'm just solely GP, right? Not this massive fan of anybody in GP racing. And I disliked Marquez at the time because of course you're a Rossi fan, bro. Like Jorge who? Marquez who? Like get out of here, right? Let's go. But I learned to respect Marquez And all the injuries and all the dude, he gives it one, like he's an absolute legend. Like there is no question he is an absolute legend of the sport. All the injuries he's come back from and the sacrifices it makes to still do what he does at the top of the game is
Yeah,
incredible.
it's
You
really
know,
impressive.
so nothing but respect to him. Now we got Top Rat coming in, next
Yeah,
year, which is super exciting, right? So let me ask your opinion. Everybody's asking my opinion. How do I think Top Rat's going to do in his first years? And I'm like, man, it's like you go from a production bike, right? Cam could tell anybody this, so can SDK, right? You go from a production bike to a super stiff chassis, different tires, yada yada yada. All those puzzle pieces. I mean, you talked about it's got to fall into place to make it come together. But he's got the talent. I think
he
that
does have the talent, but he's also going to be on the Yamaha. And Quadraro is one of the best riders in the world, and he is struggling. I mean, he is some of his qualifying efforts this year have been just unbelievably impressive, right?
but that's
And I
just the
mean, it
one
just
lap.
shows you,
Yeah.
yeah, it just shows you that pure talent that dude has. And he's had a couple good sprint races that didn't work out because he's just having to override that bike. Um, so I don't know that Top Rack's not going to outdo Quadraro at right now, not next year on
No,
that bike.
no, I don't think. I think that
And that
you,
is no slight to Top Rack at all because
no,
he's amazing. He's nobody else has been able to make that BMW work, and it's been phenomenal what he's done on that thing.
I think that he's coming into it the right time just because he'll get that 1 year. Yes, it's going to 850. Yes, they're going to Pirelli, but he's getting that adaptation for the circuits, the stiff chassis, and getting a base setup for. I don't even know if I can say a base setup
When
because
they
it's a
do go to
different
the
bike.
Pirellis,
So
that's going to be an easy, a good situation for him because he's got so much time on the Pirellis, and they are just a different tire.
100%, man, 100%. And then of course we had Johnny Ray just retired, right? What a
Yeah,
legend of
yeah,
the sport.
what a legend.
I watched his YouTube videos, and the last race weekend didn't go his way. He was crying on camera, and you felt the emotions and the deepness, and it was just, man, incredible journey and incredible story.
Yeah,
Man, what a time to be alive, Jeff, right? Like, let's
wow,
go.
yeah,
Dude, we
pretty
have
cool.
so Isle of Man TT. I'm a huge fan. That is my favorite race on the planet every year since I discovered it. To me, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just absolutely
Have you
like,
gone?
no, it's on my bucket list.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Have
I
you
haven't been
gone?
able to go either.
Oh,
I have
well,
not.
dude, hey, I want to go so bad. I'm definitely going. I'll put it to you that way. Um, it's just an incredible thing. Of course, us being in our lifetime, Jeff, again, we got the honor to see Joey Dunlop, the legend of
Yeah,
and then Michael come along and beat his uncle Joey at the all-time greatest of TT. I mean, nobody
yeah.
would imagine that would ever happen. And now they're doing almost 137 miles average
It's
speed around the
it's
course. This is
crazy. It's crazy. Those guys
absolutely.
got issues.
I love it, man. He said those guys got issues. I mean, yeah. To me,
That's incredible what they can do on those road courses like that. It's amazing.
To me, it's not the solo riders, Jeff. It's the monkeys in the sidecar. To me, that are just the most
No,
like
those guys have issues. Yeah.
those are the ones that have the issues, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Well, listen, I don't want to keep you too much longer, man. We're an hour and 14 of this, man. It's been an absolute honor, but I have one more question that I want to ask you. And then just stay on with me for a minute after I end this, okay? Dude, money no object. Okay. Of course, you can't say Cam or Ezra, right? So money no object. You could have your own Moto America team. What's the manufacturer of bike you would have, and who are the two current riders you would put on your bike?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I'm team owner. Is that what you're saying?
You are
I'm team owner.
You have unlimited funds. You can set up whatever two riders, whatever manufacturer, whatever class you want to do. Money, no object.
Except for the two Beaubier boys.
Except, of course, because you're going to
Yeah.
say them, right? I would too, but that's why I said you can't say them.
Um, Gosh, that's a tough one. I think I would do a Ducati. I've just always been a Ducati fan. Um, that bike's really, really good. They've got a good customer program. Um, and it does cost money to do that. Riders, gosh, you know what? For the young riders, like in Superbike, I think I'd go with SDK. And man, there's a lot of other solid riders behind that. I think it, ah, man, that's a tough one.
It is.
That's a really tough one because you want somebody that can adapt. Because I don't know that the Ducati is probably the easiest bike to ride right away. Because I mean, like Heron, it took him a bit to get going on that. Once he did, man, he was pretty impressive on that thing. Um, I don't know. Cam's the best rider in the paddock, though.
I can't deny it.
But
Absolutely.
but if I can't
I'm
pick
with you.
him, I go with Sean and gosh, somebody that can be adaptable quick. Man, that's a tough one. I don't know who the next guy would be. There's a lot. I mean, Fong's really good. He's riding pretty high right now. I think he could adapt. He's been on a lot of different bikes. Um, be interesting to see where Gagne is, if he's healthy enough and getting strong again, if he's gonna be coming back. Man, that's a tough one. Would you take a super sport guy?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, dude, I was thinking, yeah, Kenny said Andrew Lee, right? Super stock champion 2 times, 3 times. I, I'm thinking Tyler Scott, somebody from Super Sport.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, that's one of the kids that's on my radar. Tyler, um, Blake
Brian
Davis
Stokes
is
says
really
Josh Hayes.
Josh Hayes.
Let's go, Brian. Why not Brian Stokes,
And
right? Let's throw him in the
Brian
mix.
Stokes. Yeah, Josh wouldn't ride a Ducati though.
No, to
No, it's
me, I
not.
think
It's not
that
blue. He has to be on a blue bike.
facts, right? I think that
Yeah, he
to
bleeds blue.
he does,
And
he
he's
does.
earned that. That guy's earned that.
Richie Escalante, Sean says, yeah, he's
Hmm.
one
Yeah, that's a
to
solid rider.
keep
I
his
like the
eye.
way he rides.
He is. I think that when I compared the Ducati to the BMW, they're similar in that aspect, just as a fan standpoint, that it's got a narrow window for setup. But once you're in this window, man, it's magical. As soon as you're out of that window, whether it's hard or soft, whatever
Yeah,
it is the worst thing in the world to ride, right? Where the Yamaha, you watch people get on it, it's just soft, it's easy, it's nimble,
yeah,
it
and
gives
they
great
do. That team
feedback.
does such a good job. That attack team does such a good job. We were with the attack team one year in 2020, and then obviously with Yamaha, there was a merger of the two teams. So very familiar with that group, and man, they do such an amazing job. Um, yeah, and they do a good job with that bike and making it work to where those guys can just flat ride the heck out of it. Cameron mentioned that even with the BMWs, man, I can't ride it the way I would ride the Yamaha, and just where you can just go just ride the crap out of it. Um, the BMW would do it at times, and when it was good, it was really good. Um, but it seemed like the Yamaha was it's just a lot more predictable.
User
And,
friendly.
and again, the team does an amazing job with it too. So it's not just one thing.
Yeah, for sure. Last question. I know I said that a minute ago, but Tire Wars, man, that's something I would love to see back in Moto America. Your
That
thoughts on
would be
Tire Wars,
interesting. That would be interesting.
right? I mean, it would, well, to me also it would I don't want to say level the playing field, right? But it would give the what I call future legends of the sport, and the people in the back more sponsorship opportunities and more, open up the window for that. But I would love to see it back because, everybody likes their own tires, and different bikes suit different tire brands. So it
Mm-hmm.
would be, plus I think it would progress the tires more than what we've seen. Because back in the day, Jeff,
Well,
when
yeah, you would actually have a true, they would be pushing to get the tires better, and um, yeah, it would be interesting to see that happen again. And
maybe in the future.
yeah, you never know. You never know. It's tough. I always look at it more from the privateer side of things when you're just scrambling and you want to be able to have, you know, you want to be able to get the same tire that Cameron Beaubier is on, or that the guy went in the super sport class and he's got all this, and it's like, man, I wish I can't. I'm not on the same tire as that guy. How am I going to beat him if I'm not on the same tire? And so that's helped level that part of it, because you go to Dunlop now and I can get the same tire as Matthew Skoltz, right? But if there is a tire war, is Matthew getting that new super secret tire and I'm still getting just the tire that I ran last weekend, right? Or the same, but that helps push the sport at the same time, much to your point. So yeah.
But who's to say that don't happen now, right? I don't know. I think that I just see it as, if we did have the tire wars back in, it would be a better show for the fans, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, right? More competition. It would also benefit the street riders because now they got to elevate their game, right? Because again, back in the day, man, dude, they were up and
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
time. Now it just seems like we got to this point to where it's just kind of plateaued off, right? And every couple years they'll throw something else in the mix and claim it's a different tire. It probably is. There's a lot of money that goes into R&D and all that stuff. So it'd just
Mm-hmm.
be interesting again, because certain bikes suit certain tires different, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, dude, Jeff, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. It's been an absolute honor to have you on, man. And I cannot wait to see you at the races this year. I'll be at Daytona, Road Atlanta, VIR, Jersey. I'm going to skip Mid Ohio because I want to go to Barber. But I told you I don't know if I want to do the Vintage Fest or Moto America.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of torn between the two. But we'll see. Either way, I'll be
Yeah.
there for sure.
Right on. That'll be good.
It will be. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing you at the track, my friend. And man,
Yeah.
this has been a lot of fun, man. Is there anything you want to say before I end the podcast?
No, not really. Just say thanks for having me on. I enjoyed it. It's fun to talk and reminisce about some old stuff, and memories coming back. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Well, listen, when we get off here, just down with me.
Yeah.
When I end this for a minute. But yeah, listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor to sit down with Jeff Beaubier. This episode will be out in about 40 minutes from now, everywhere, Spotify, All Heart Jeff, and I'll send you the direct link so you can, if you're ever driving, you want to listen to our podcast, you can throw it on and have a listen. But yeah, man, it's been an absolute honor. And Jeff, thank you so much for coming on. Seriously, it's been an honor.
Thank you for having me.
To have you on. So, ladies and gentlemen, the legend, Jeff Beaubier. We will see you soon.
See you guys.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas